Feeling inspired is very similar to feeling in love, and I think when you're in love, you are inspired. That's why some of the best poetry, songwriting, art, I feel like it usually derives from love. But to be inspired about an idea, I feel like you can certainly be in love with an idea. I feel like when I'm feeling so passionate about my work or my art or an idea, it almost feels like I'm in love, and I feel like I forget to eat. I don't want to sleep. I wake up so early, and I just find that really cute. It's one of those days where my hair has grown to new lengths. I shaved my hair probably 5 months ago, 6 months ago almost, because I wanted to start fresh. I was constantly dyeing my hair, constantly obsessed with changing my hair. Hair done. Raspberries eaten. Went shopping. It's one of those days. I would cut it like maybe once every couple weeks and dye it, and I had it dyed red. Nothing wrong with dyeing your hair, but it comes to a point. I'm sure some of you can relate. If you dye your hair a lot, it's like, well, it kind of turns into a never-ending cycle, right? Like the roots grow in, and then you gotta dye the roots, and then you want to grow out your hair naturally, but then there's like this line. So that's kind of what was happening to me. I had it red and pretty long at a certain point. My hair was definitely falling out. It was definitely very damaged. And then I decided to chop my hair like, a bob and dye it black. And my hair is like, it's naturally pretty like light brown, maybe a little blonde. So the black just did not suit me. It was cute for a moment, like right when I did it, but then I found myself, I kept going back to the salon. I would cut it and then I'd go back maybe a week later. God knows how much money I was spending on this. I don't even remember. I was going through it at the time, clearly. But I cut it shorter. Everyone at work was like, what's going on? I mean, I'm sure no one actually cared, but a few people were concerned because it is kind of a telltale sign of someone just like hyper-focusing on how they look, like constantly changing their hair and changing their mind about their hair or appearance in general. I was also like changing out piercings. I had a lip piercing and I kept struggling with it, and I kept holding on to it even though it really wasn't healthy for me. I was in pain all the time. I had a lip piercing and I was almost constantly in pain. Same with I had a cartilage too. And then one day I realized I can take this out and no longer be in pain. It's simple. But once you do it, everything changes. I swear, after I took that piercing out, my life improved because I was no longer in pain. And you know what? It was cute. I loved it. But sometimes you just have to let go. If something isn't serving you, and sometimes, it's hard to let go because you're attached to the idea of what it could have been, what it didn't get to be. But anyway, back to my hair. I was constantly just toying with my hair. And then I would take videos of myself. I would take videos of myself and then I'd do like a 360. I would do that multiple times per day. And that's when I knew so I'm gonna shave my hair tomorrow. And I'm just looking at myself I feel very weird and this appearance, and I feel like my only option is to shave my hair off. I just feel like this really strong urge to do it. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but I feel like I'm ready for it. I'm ready to change how I view myself and how others view me. That's not necessarily why I'm doing it for others, but I do want to reevaluate how I treat my self-image and stop relying on my looks to get me places. And I just want to feel my hands on my scalp. So that's when I had the inkling I should just shave my hair off. It's time. My hair felt so stringy and didn't feel like hair, I'll say it. It didn't look like me either. This was deep winter too, so you know that those deep winter months where you're just struggling a little bit, especially looking back. But now that I'm in spring is always a time when I kind of reflect on my winter self, and I just know I was going through something. I'm sure we all were. But spring is when we rise from the dirt and wipe off all the soot that we were covered in from being buried in frozen ground. And we bloom, we blossom. I think shaving my hair was something that rewired my brain in the best way possible. It allowed me to really see my face, and it allowed others to see my face. And I feel like I had always kind of relied on my obvious looks, like, you know, having long hair, being pretty, and kind of relying on that. I relied on my looks almost as if they were an accurate depiction of who I am. And that's true to an extent. I do think our faces are the window to our soul, especially our eyes. But I think with shaving my hair, I was able to radically accept how I looked. And not necessarily enjoy how I looked, but I was able to accept it because I had no choice. I work in a service-oriented environment in multiple jobs that are people-facing, so it was scary, like showing up to work those first couple of days where I felt scared. Right when I shaved my hair off, I felt so much anxiety and at the same time freedom, but a lot of anxiety. I felt very exposed. I've never had no hair before. Yeah, I just heard the weirdest noise. God bless. And I think one of my favorite things about the experience is seeing my hair grow and seeing my natural color come in. I haven't seen my natural hair color grow in over a decade. I've been bleaching my hair, dyeing my hair, and it's just so amazing to see my hair in a way that it's not growing in as a root, it's just growing in, if that makes sense. Like when I was bleaching my hair, you'd just see the root, and you'd be like, oh, I need to cover up my roots. And now I could not go back to that, although I do have temptations of getting highlights again. But we're going to work on that in a natural way. Another thing, hair certainly holds memory. If it can hold identity, it can hold memories. my hair was certainly tied to my identity, and the chapter I was in with this specific hairstyle, and it was very freeing to just physically get rid of it. I'm all about holistic approaches to beauty and wellness, and I genuinely think like shaving my hair, it felt like a very holistic form of healing. I feel more beautiful than I have in a long time. I found that I usually feel most beautiful I feel most beautiful when I feel most myself. And I think a lot of us can maybe relate to that to a sense, and maybe if we don't, it's something we should try to work on. Is trying to feel very embodied by just how we look and feel like we resonate with how we look. Because, it's how we express ourselves. I'm not saying you have to shave all your hair off, although I highly recommend it to everyone. I think everyone should do it, especially women. Do it. Shave all your hair off. Your brain will be rewired. And maybe my prefrontal cortex is just really developing because I am now 27. Aries. Fellow Aries, I'm looking for you because I vibe so much with other Aries. I'm not like too into astrology, but I love hearing about it and learning about it. Although honestly, whenever I learn about astrology, I can't quite recollect a lot of what I hear. Like, I resonate with a lot of things, but then I totally forget what is said about me or my sign. Another thing, well, this didn't happen because I shaved my hair, but I think it kind of catapulted into this, but sobriety. I feel like, you can be sober from things that aren't alcohol. Like, you can be sober from Instagram, you could be sober from music, or let's look up the definition of the word sober. Okay, couple definitions. Obviously, the first one is like abstaining from drinking alcohol, taking drugs. It says refraining from the use of addictive substances. Addictive substances. I feel like, could that mean addictive behaviors? Yes. Or addictive tendencies, or addictive just things that you're doing? Yes. And I definitely think shaving my hair was kind of like I said, it catapulted me into sobriety from drugs and alcohol. Another definition on here that's kind of interesting. Marked by a sedate or gravely or earnestly thoughtful character or demeanor. Another one. Unhurried, calm, sober means calm and unhurried. I love that. Another one. Marked by temperance, moderation, or seriousness. Another one. Subdued in tone or color. Another one. Showing no excessive or extreme qualities of fancy, emotion, or prejudice. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna think about those definitions of sober, and I definitely want to talk more about my sobriety journey in another video.